This is a demonstration of exercise S315, preparing a partial worksheet. Just Right Hairstylist has begun the preparation of its worksheet as follows. And we're given a worksheet that has the unadjusted trial balance columns completed for the amounts from the general ledger. Then the problem gives us information from the year end and asks us to complete Just Right's worksheet through the adjusted trial balance section, and in the adjustment section to mark each adjustment by a letter. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to complete these two columns for the adjustment. So our first information that we're given is that office supplies on hand are $300. We noticed that in the unadjusted trial balance we had a $900 balance. If we only have $300 worth of supplies left, then that means that we use $600 of supplies during the year. So we need to debit supplies expense for $600, and we're going to need to credit office supplies for $600. And we're marking these both sides with an A so that we can show the debit and the credit that go together. The next entry says that we have depreciation of $700. So we're going to debit our depreciation for $700. And then we're going to credit our accumulated depreciation for $700. And mark both of those with a B. The next one says that we accrued interest expense of $800. So our interest expense will be debited for $800. And then our interest payable, our liability account, will be increased for $800. And as I've been making these entries, the total at the bottom has been updating, and we see that our debits and our credits equal. So now we can complete the adjusted trial balance column, and we're going to demonstrate how to do this. If we had a $300 debit in cash and we've got no adjustments, we just bring the $300 over to the adjusted trial balance column. Now for office supplies, we had a debit balance of $900. We see we credited office supplies for $600. So that's going to leave office supplies with a $300 debit balance. So you had a debit and a credit, so those are going to be subtracted. Our equipment account did not have an adjustment, so we're going to bring our balance over as is. Our accumulated depreciation account had a $700 credit balance. We have a $700 credit adjustment, so that means we will add those two amounts together and have a $1,400 credit balance. Our accounts payable did not have an adjusting entry and it had a credit balance, so we bring that over. Our interest payable had no balance, but we made an adjusting entry for $800, so that means we're going to have an $800 credit balance now. Our note payable did not have any adjustment, so we're going to bring that credit balance directly over. The common stock will be the same way. Service revenue would not have been updated, so it will also remain the same. Rent expense did not have an adjustment, so it will be the same. And then we'll have to now update supplies expense. Notice supplies expense did not have a balance, so since we made a $600 adjusting entry in the debit column, it will now have a $600 balance. Equipment expense is the same way. It had no balance under the unadjusted trial balance, but we made a $700 adjusting entry, so that will now be the $700 balance. Our interest expense had a debit balance of $700. We made an adjusting entry to interest expense of $800, so now we're going to have a $1,500 balance for interest expense. We want to make sure when we complete our worksheet that our debit and our credit balance is equal in the adjusted trial balance column, so that we know that when we made these, when we added and subtracted these amounts, we did it correctly and we brought the balance over to the correct column. Since ours equal, we have completed this exercise for S315.